means we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, Obscurians, and welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, the show where we take a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media and then decide if it should be tossed into the void of obscurity, never to be heard from again, or remembered for all of human history. My name is Steve, and with me is a man who I once saw fight a wizard with magical powers I didn't even know he had. It's...
Wow. Yahel, how are you doing, Steve?
I'm
Sounds like you sound quite chipper on this eerie, spooky episode.
But aren't they all eerie and spooky? I mean, regardless of the month. I mean, they're all pretty weird, but
yeah. You know, I was gonna say you could say they're obscure, but that's not really like terrifying. Anyway, Steve, how have you been?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here talking about what licensed comic books that probably no one has even thought about since the 90s with you.
Steve, what's your favorite Chaos Comics comic book?
Well, I mean, might as well just jump right into it. I'm pretty sure I had the one with The Rock in it. I mean, did I enjoy...
Oh, you actually did have some comic books from Chaos Comics?
Yes, because they did, I don't know if you noticed, but they have... They were doing quite a few licensed ones from the WWE, WWF at the time. Everyone always has to say that if they're talking about the WWE on a podcast.
No, even though it's been like 30 plus years, I think at this point, like probably more like 20 something years, right?
Right.
Of the WWE.
So I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was the Stone Cold one. It was Stone Cold, and
I see that these were very memorable titles, Steve. If you don't know if it was The Rock or Stone Cold, I mean, those guys look very similar looking guys.
I mean,
so
it's just been...
I can see how you could mix them up.
It's been so long, and I'm pretty sure I got it in a dollar bin. But just to clarify, if someone doesn't have the ability to read a thumbnail, we are talking about the Undertaker Halloween special comic book today. It's part of our, month-long Halloween extravaganza, or am I supposed to say?
Yeah, it's a pretty original idea we had to take the month of October and cover horror and spooky. Well, we're known for our spooks, Steve, you and I.
It sounds so racist.
So,
oh man.
Well, now
you're
does.
Lucky you're from Puerto Rico, buddy.
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican and a quarter black, so it's fine.
Yes, of course it is. Of course. So yeah, like, I mean, question number one, of course, is like, did you ever read or have any wrestling comics at all, like ever?
I never owned any, but I mean, I definitely like read some here and there, and I know there's been a few extremely bored nights in my life where I've drunkenly downloaded some scans or whatever, and every time I download one, I'm like, yeah, this is not something I want to continue reading.
I love the idea of just like you're like, it's like 2 a.m. You're like, let me see if I can get some of those WCW books.
Yeah, it's like, well, I could either drunk text someone, a girl, or I could look up to see what Mankind issue number 0 was all about.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I had at least 1 or 2 of the WCW Marvel run, and I actually would really like to get those, just because I'm sure they would be so bad that they're good. And I remember a friend of mine, he had a couple too, so we were like trading those back and forth. And then, yes, I did purchase what I'm pretty sure was a Stone Cold Chaos Comics comic, like back in the height of the Attitude Era, because why not?
It's so strange to me, and I guess we should have done something called research ahead of time about this. And I don't know, maybe you know the answer, but it's so weird to me that like WWF at the time was running on Chaos Comics label, because I mean, this is 1999, the height of the Attitude Era, the height of wrestling's biggest boom period, where you couldn't walk 10 feet without seeing a Stone Cold shirt or
Mm-hmm.
something, and they're not like on Marvel or even DC Comics or shit, even Image or dare I say Malibu. You're at Chaos Comics.
Yeah,
What is
I
going
mean, I
on?
think it's because my guess is that they were going with them because they wanted something that felt more extreme, if you will. I mean, and if you look at all the other Chaos comics, they all have this sort of like, I don't know, over the top kind of, I wouldn't say gritty. I mean, how would you describe the art? Even though I mean, that's a question that I should be asking you later, but pretty much all the Chaos comics look very 90s, I would say, especially in their color, and or maybe they just gave them the best deal. Like, I don't know. That's a good question, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is somebody buying the license, right? But I just have a hard time imagining that KS Comics has more money to dish out for a WWE license than Marvel or DC, you know?
right. I mean,
But who
I
knows?
think at the
Maybe this was like a pre-existing
mm-hmm.
thing. I think like IDW now, or at some point did some WWE comics. So I mean,
Oh,
I don't know.
Dynamite. Because Dynamite bought. Actually, I saw it. This is weird. So CrossGen, I don't know if you remember them. They purchased Chaos Comics, then they went bankrupt, and then Dynamite bought them. So Dynamite now makes the WWE comics. So
This is so interesting to me,
hey,
Trey.
hey, for those who care about comics, it is. And man, just look at them
um,
all there in the chat.
but
Asking all
yeah,
their questions.
it's kind of crazy though that WB still isn't on a bigger, more mainstream comic book company label. But I guess it's working out for them just fine, or they're happy enough with it. But yeah, I mean, I never really. Back to your original question, I didn't really own any WB
Mhm.
comics.
But
Like I said, I just always found them to be kind of goofy.
right. Well, yeah. I mean, looking at back at them now, yeah, they're. I mean, especially what we're about to discuss, and just to bring it back around to shit, I forgot where I was gonna go with that. But before we dive into the Undertaker Halloween special, I want to know, Yahel, what do you think about the movie Halloween Ends? And yes, no, it's not obscure right now, but someday it will. So I watched it and I'm dying to talk to someone about it. So you're here digitally. I want to know what.
Yeah, so not only did I watch last week, or I guess, yeah, because it's Sunday. So last week I watched Halloween Ends a few days ago, and then the day before that I watched the one that came out before that one, Halloween
Yes,
Kills.
yes.
And all I gotta say, Steve, is evil dies
Tonight. Yeah,
tonight.
woo, even though he didn't. Spoiler
No,
alert,
no, he
he
did not.
didn't.
He did not. Obscurity dies tonight, Steve.
Oh, are you
Uh,
saying we're finally going to become mainstream? Because that sounds awesome.
no, no, Steve. Much like Halloween Kills, it won't actually
Ah,
happen.
damn.
Uh,
Mm.
but anyways, I did not think it was good.
Referring to which
Um,
movie?
Halloween
Okay.
Ends. Halloween Kills was okay. It was fine. Um, but yeah, I did not think it was very good.
Real
Like
quick, are you
Allison,
a
the character.
big Michael Myers Halloween guy?
I mean, I wouldn't say I've seen all the
Hmm.
films, and I like. I mean, some of those sequels aren't
Oh,
good
no.
either, but the other sequels, like the whole thing with him. Oh my God, was it with the cult or whatever? Like that was
Halloween
weird.
666, baby.
Yeah. But I mean, I do overall like the franchise. I don't have a fondness for it. I didn't expect this to be good, and it somehow it did the opposite of exceed my already low expectations.
It dropped below them. Wow, wow.
Yeah, there was just some character stuff that didn't make sense to
Hmm.
me, like Allison suddenly, like which is Laurie's daughter, suddenly being like, yeah, fuck this town and fuck everybody, let's burn it down,
See,
and
that to
um,
me made sense. It was just, to me, it was, and I guess spoiler alert. Um, okay, let me just dive in and say, all right, I liked it up until the last 20 minutes. And I am not the biggest Halloween fan. I love John Carpenter. I actually probably like the score to Halloween 1 more than I do the actual film. I mean, I get it. It's like the first, slasher that was ever. Well, that's arguable. Some people say The Town That Dreaded Sundown is the first slasher movie that was ever made. But yeah. So I don't know. I had pretty low expectations for this one too, but I liked how different it was for like the first and second act and a little bit of the third, and I didn't know like which way they were going to go with it. And there was a lot of stuff in it that reminded me of the movie Drive, like when they were doing the whole sort of a romance thing between Corey
Yeah, on the
and Laurie's
motorcycle.
Allison. They were on the bike and like they were hanging out at the
Yeah,
radio station, and all that neon was everywhere. And
yeah.
I was like, "What is this? It's like
It
Drive?" Like,
it it reminded me of both Drive and also like any typical made for Netflix movie because they all have that look too. I don't know if you've noticed like Netflix movies, any scene that's at night, there's always like neon light bathing everything, and it's like a little bit oversaturated. It's like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
what they do.
So yeah, I liked. I mean, and they were really doing a good job of kind of subverting my expectations. And then a certain character dies, like in the last, like halfway through the last act, and then it just turns into sort of a typical Halloween movie. And also, I didn't really think it made much sense because, like, Laurie picks up the knife and out of the guy, and in comes Allison, and she freaks out, and then like two scenes later, she's like, "Oh, I forgive you, no big deal." I just feel like the filmmakers wanted to go one way, and then the studio came in, and then they were like, "Oh no, 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 you're gonna go this way, the normal way that everyone expects." And then like that whole like parade at the end when they have Michael Myers' body, and then I laughed at that. That was so goofy. Like, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, what?
I will say, I mean, I don't know. See, I think you're glossing over some of like the things early in the movie that don't make any sense. Like okay, one of the things that like really took me out of the movie, and I don't know, maybe this is being nitpicky. I disagree, but when first introduced to like that, not when we're first introduced to the Corey character, but this character that they make it seem like he's going to take over the mantle of Michael
Yes,
Myers, and he's like
yes.
absorbing his power or
Hmm.
whatever. And I thought that was a good idea to like have Myers like propensity for killing and his endurance and all that stuff that evil be able to be transferred into somebody
Hmm.
else. I thought that was a good
Sure.
idea. However, however, this character Corey is picked on, and this is a dude like presumably in his mid 20s at this point, if not late 20s. He gets picked on. He gets bullied by who, Steve? Who's bullying
By
him
like freshman
throughout the whole movie?
grade high school kids, and
And
one's a
Steve,
band
these
geek.
freshman grade. Well, oh, you mean they're not like big athletes, like football
Yeah,
players,
that was
jock
so
types or
like it
something?
was
That maybe.
basically a diverse group of bullies.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was that diverse. There was only like four of
Right.
them, but but yeah, there's like four of them or something. It's like two guys and two girls, I think
Yeah,
it
it's a
was.
group that doesn't
Um,
make any sense because, like, all right, you've got the one sort of Zach Morrissey.
well, they're all in band together.
Okay,
Like that's how they all know each other. So like that, I could
he gets
buy
beat
that
up by
that they were all
band
hanging out.
geeks. Yeah, like I,
But yeah, he's getting like beat up and like I
and
mean,
he's a.
and they know already that he's killed someone, and they think he meant to kill that
Mhm.
child. And they're would you go around picking on a guy that you think murdered a child
I mean,
purposely?
I agree with you. Like, I laughed. Like, when he was getting bullied by that quote unquote gang, like, I was just like, you're a grown man. Like, and you're bigger than them. Like, just beat them up. It was just
Yeah,
odd casting choices. Like, all you had to do was get just four big ass football players. And,
I got a better idea, Steve. Just get someone that's around his age to be bullying him.
right. Yeah, why did it have to be high school
Why does it have to
kids?
be high school
Yeah,
kids?
that's a good point. But, yeah.
Fucking dumb. So like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, this is not good. There were some things that were not thought out. But anyways, so you liked it until the last 20 minutes. I definitely agree that it goes downhill more so in the last 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Uh,
How did you find Jamie Lee Curtis's performance?
I mean, it was fine.
I found her
I think she did the
annoying. I don't know why. Like
yeah.
she was just so sure about everything that she was saying, and I really wanted to see more of like the Corey and Allison like plot. Like I didn't care about what happened at the end. Like just because we
I hated the Corey Allison because like they're like almost immediately start falling for each other. She in particular falls for
Hmm.
him. Like he's kind of like whatever at first, but she's just like they have zero chemistry. They've said like 5 words to each other. She's like, oh, he's great. I'm gonna fix him. Like
Well, I
what?
mean, the idea is
Like
that
I
they're
don't know,
both
man.
outcasts who've been like bullied by the entire town, so they just find solace in each other's arms.
I get it, but like they found solace within minutes
Yeah, that's just
of meeting each other. Like
movie bullshit.
no, no, this is like a 2 hour long movie, Steve. You're gonna tell me there's more time spent on the high school twinks uh,
Twinks.
bullying Corey than there is like really building up this relationship before she falls for him. Like they do eventually like have lots of scenes with Corey and Allison talking and that kind
Hmm.
of stuff, but I feel like her falling like head over heels for him, like she's crying over him like the day after meeting him.
Right.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's a little
come on.
rushed for real world adults. Like I can definitely agree with that.
This is who the kid should be bullying. She's the pusher.
All right. Well, I think so. I don't know. So obviously, or you hated like pretty much the whole thing for the most part. I mean, I would never watch it again. Um,
Yeah, some of the kills were
oh
cool,
yeah,
but
yeah. The DJ kill was great.
I'll give
When he
yeah.
finally, rises up and takes down the bad
Oh,
geeks.
the DJ made no sense either though. Like that was I don't know, man. Like so this guy owns the radio
Mhm.
station, which is like in one small
Plays
building, which is already a little weird, but
it
it's
plays records. Like there was a lot
yeah,
of
it
times
plays
where I felt
records.
like that this movie didn't even take place in our world. It's like it's some weird
It's like
hipster timeline.
parts of it took place in 1985, other times it was in
Have
2022. It was
Have you
all over
seen
the
It Follows? It's
Yes.
yeah, basically It Follows doesn't take place in like our timeline, and that's how I felt about this movie. Is that it was kind of in its
Yeah, and it's so weird. And you could almost get away with, okay, fine, the radio station is this one little tiny
mhm.
building, because it's a small town, right? Maybe Clear Channel hasn't bought them out yet or whatever. Uh, but the station also only has one DJ who is also its owner, who is oh my god, did Jason get that? Or not Jason,
Michael
but
Myers.
Mike
Yeah.
Myers. Um, but he's also the DJ who is the only DJ spinning records 24 hours a
Right.
day because they show up like I don't know, like at 1 in the morning or
Hmm.
something and kill him. Like so, just little things like that where I'm just like, man, this is like nobody like said, hey, this doesn't make sense. Like that kind of stuff really takes me out of a film, and it makes you question like every other thing that they do.
Right. I mean, I was like, this doesn't take place in our world. A lot of that stuff, I don't know. I think I was just so excited that I didn't know where it was going, and I like that. And then when it turned back to the old formula at the end, and their fight at the end was so ridiculous and so stupid. And when Allison comes in and breaks his arm, like God, like that is when I started laughing.
Yeah,
But yeah, like all right, here's okay. So I think we can put a pin in Halloween. I mean, I would say that I definitely like this one better than Halloween Kills because it was just so. Halloween Kills was so schlocky, as you said. Evil dies tonight, and people just acting dumb and like,
nothing makes sense. Like, why are there so many people at the
right,
hospital?
right. Much
Uh,
like,
like 10 people have been killed, but there's like 1,000 people at the
hmm,
hospital, like just waiting for their family that got
yeah,
killed. They're dead. Like they're not. They're getting
hmm,
treatment, right? They're dead. He's killing them. So why are they at the
right,
hospital?
yeah. You can tell that
Wouldn't
they
they be, if anywhere, at the police station demanding action?
much like with the new Disney like Star Wars trilogy, you could tell that they did not have a plan to make this into a trilogy. So they were just throwing whatever they could to the wall and see what they
Yeah.
thought would stick. But I'm curious
I
though.
I do, however, Steve, want to one day try and get a group of people to randomly start chanting "Evil Dies Tonight" real quick. Uh,
Evil dies tonight. Yeah. Well, next
but
time.
I liked Halloween Kills better because I mean it has arguably more things that make no sense in it than Halloween Ends. However, it was more fun to me.
There was definitely a lot
The
more
kills were
kills, a
better.
lot more brutal kills for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was definitely more, I guess, kind of straightforward, but or typical when it comes to sort of like a Halloween movie, I would say. And for the third one, they were definitely trying to, well, it seemed like they were trying to do something different and go in a different direction. And then in the last 10 minutes, it went right back on to the sort of
Yeah.
typical.
And Mike Myers got real weak in 4 years,
Yeah,
also.
right. Well, I mean, he's an old man. Like, that's the thing that doesn't make sense about
He
these.
was an old man in the last
Right.
movie
So
too,
why
but
does he have like superhuman strength? And I mean, yeah, I mean, we could talk about this for hours, but I'm curious, where does Michael Myers like sit for you? Like, rate, give me your top three, like, sort of slashers, or top five even.
I mean, there's not that many like that have like considering franchises. I wouldn't even say I have a top one. I guess I'd put Jason at the top for one simple reason, and that's Jason X.
Yeah,
Uh,
Jason X is
it's
awesome.
so
Yeah, for sure.
it's so awful, but it's so good. We should have covered that this year, but
Nah, we'll save it for next year for sure. We got to add that to the list.
yeah. I mean, we can. But there's no shortage of horror movies. We can cover Jason X. Really, I
Have
suppose.
you seen or heard about the Terrifier?
I have. I know Jericho is in Terrifier
Oh, I didn't
2.
know that.
Uh,
Oh, wow.
yeah, but I'm not a huge. Even though like I like slasher movies, I'm not a huge fan of like what do they call it?
Torture porn?
Something
Torture
porn,
porn.
where it's like torture porn. Yeah, like I don't know, like when it's just like a crazy kill just to be shocking and it doesn't like really move the
Well, that's the
story forward.
Terrifier, all right.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. So I
I
probably
mean,
wouldn't.
really, you only go to the Terrifier because you want practical effects. Like, that's basically the appeal, I would say. But, all right, are you ready to talk about the Undertaker Halloween special?
Yes, please. Let's dive into this literary
All right, let's
masterpiece.
do it.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
Alrighty, let me just fix this real quick so we can see the. Yeah, isn't that a face you just want to bring home to mom? All right, let me get my notes here. Come on, notes. Get up here. And there we go. All right, so as we stated, we are looking at the cover of the Undertaker Halloween special, which premiered or was released or shipped October 1st, 1999. So,
It was
yeah.
birthed from Vince McMahon's loins, I believe.
Oh man, I don't know who it was birthed by. One of the most uncreative minds ever. But yeah, and it's 28 pages and was a whopping $2.95 back in 1999. We already talked about our lack of wrestling comic books. There's a lot of newer wrestling comic books these days that are nothing like this, that focus
Yeah,
more on kind of like the behind the scenes stuff. There was one I was
right.
reading called Ringside that was pretty good. And there's a new one out called Do a Power Bomb, which, if you're interested in wrestling comics, I would say those two are actually pretty good. Much better than what we're about to talk about. And here's a synopsis. This year, an evil Halloween force known as Sami Zayn, I mean Sam Hain, the Lord of the Dead, reveals he has abducted the souls of the Undertaker's dead parents and wants control of Stygian in exchange. The Undertaker must go back to the ruins of his childhood home to encounter an evil he's never faced and could never be prepared for. Will he restore his parents' soul to rest? Can he survive alone? And that's it. So, did you want to talk about the Undertaker here for a minute?
Sure, Steve. Since you forced me to get some Undertaker facts.
Forced you.
Uh,
I don't think I have the ability to force you to do anything.
no, Steve, you're the new ruler of the Book of the Dead.
I'm the head of the corporate ministry. It was
Yeah.
me, hell. It was me all
So
along.
here's a few facts. Did you know that the Undertaker hates cucumbers, Steve?
Did you want to say maybe what his real name is? Or
Mark
Okay.
Calloway is the Undertaker's real
And he
name,
hates
but
cucumbers. Okay, all right.
he's like a cat that way, Steve. If you put a cucumber on the floor next to him, he'll jump straight up in the air and break his hip.
Is that a true story?
Uh, yeah, he really does hate.
No, I mean your
I mean, I don't think he's
cat
scared of him.
breaking his hip because you placed a cucumber next to him.
No, Undertaker would break his hip because he's got bad hips.
Oh, all right. I'm sure he's got. That's just one of his many ailments.
How many matches do you think he wrestled?
Oh
in WWE?
man, it's got to be a couple thousand. Maybe I'd say around. I'd say at least 5,000.
Okay, that is way more than a couple
Okay.
thousand, but 2,270.
All right, so yeah,
His win percentage is 75.5%.
everything was going great till Brock Lesnar showed up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait.
He was
Just real quick, what did you feel when Brock Lesnar broke the streak? How did you feel?
Oh, I mean, I was surprised, just like everybody was, because nobody expected
Right.
it to break. And the announcers, Michael Cole in particular, did a good job of selling it like the shock. I mean, generally WWE doesn't tell the announcers the outcomes of the matches,
Right.
so that way they can react naturally. So he probably was legitimately shocked. They should have let him just keep the streak, in my opinion.
Yeah, why not?
And if you were gonna break the streak, have a new guy. Like did Brock gain anything from
I know,
that?
right?
No, he's already Brock Lesnar.
Mhm.
He's already like the final boss, you know. Anyways, his original name was gonna be Kane the Undertaker.
Oh, how about that?
Did you know that?
I did not.
Well, let me tell you something else you probably don't know about former Kane the Undertaker. After a long day of dead manning it up and being being evil and rolling with Limp Bizkit and American badassing with Kid
Ugh.
Rock, he likes to relax by playing golf. He
Oh
loves
wow!
golf.
Could you imagine? Have you seen pictures of him like wearing golf attire?
I mean, I assume he's just wearing like black craft coat shorts with pentagrams all over
Yeah,
them.
he shows
and,
up just like he is here on the cover, with a cloak, his eyes glowing, and
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
CGI skeletons floating around behind him.
Yeah, he's the most demonic golfer on the course. at
His
all
golf
times.
ball is a little skull. Oh, isn't that cute?
All right, I got a couple more of these. He loaned his house to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie once.
Wow, that's so random. I love it. I love it. Keep them
It
coming.
was like they were filming some. If I remember the story right, they were filming like a movie or
Mhm.
something near where he had one of his houses, and like I guess they shared like a manager or something. I don't remember exactly where
Mhm.
it was, but he loaned it out, and that's pretty much actually all the facts.
Are you would you say you're a big Undertaker fan? What are your feelings on the old Taker?
I mean, you know, he definitely wrestled a few too many matches. Uh, his last thing with AJ Styles, that cinematic match, was pretty fun.
Oh man, I've never
Um,
seen that. Oh, I'll have to check the.
Oh, really? Oh, you should watch it. It's
Mhm.
fun. And like the Good Brothers get involved, and it's a pretty fun time actually. You'd really like it. You know, I think the problem with I have with Undertaker is, you know, once shortly after the I did have one other
Okay.
fact that I wanted to share. I don't know if you know that a few years ago the Undertaker, this is after he lost to Lesnar, he started doing interviews out of character for some reason. He went on some Christian like pastors like YouTube/podcast show and like talked for like 3 hours about his faith.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Undertaker's like a super right wing kind of nutty
Oh
guy.
wow!
Like,
So
if you watch his
basically, he and the Warrior would have been best of friends had the Warrior not, died.
I mean, I don't know if he shares all of the Warriors views, but like if you watch any of the Undertaker episodes of the special that they did on him, the docu series that they did on him a couple years ago, literally in every sit down interview, he's wearing a different right wing military and or pro cop shirt kind of a thing. You know, these shirts, the little American flags, which I mean that's fine if you're into. But however, some of the shirts, like the brands for some of these, have been linked to things like the Proud Boys and things like that. So that's where it becomes problematic.
Wow. So I guess he didn't have any problem when he basically crucified Stone Cold Steve Austin to the Undertaker logo back in like the. Do you remember that? You remember when he did that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, you know, how long he's been. You know, I think he thinks he's a devout Christian. I'll put it that way. Again, these for a lot of these Christians, because I've known many of these. What they consider a devout Christian is whatever.
Do
Like
you
it's
think it's one of those
not really
things
part.
where, kind of like with a Sting or Shawn Michaels, that he got into a little too much excess, and then in the end, he had to reach for the light, that kind of.
No, I think it's his wife because ended up marrying Michelle
Mm-hmm.
McCool, who's like a pretty religious Christian
You can say
person and
nuts.
former
It's
wrestler.
okay. Nah, I
So
don't know.
yeah, she probably is. Uh,
Uh,
but yeah,
uh,
he's what I assume most foreign people think of Americans. He's a gun-loving, uh, beer
American
drinking, super
badass. Yeah.
patriot. Yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think as a young lad, I guess the Undertaker was pretty impressive, but all of his matches are kind of the same. They do the Michael Myers pop up. There you go. We tied it back in. I think I
yeah,
probably
yeah, good
enjoyed
job.
him most when like he and Kane were a tag team.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, just
I don't know, man. I mean, Undertaker's had some like really, really good matches. Like he had like a stint. I would say like in the up to when he had that final match with where he retired Shawn Michaels.
mhm.
Uh, from there, maybe like the last 3 years leading up to that, like he was like putting out some
Right.
great
That was
stuff.
when he
He
started
was also
wearing.
barely
That's when
wrestling.
he started wearing those MMA gloves, and I think, yeah, probably in his mind he was like, "Oh, I have to show everyone that I'm more than just a pop up and then walk the top rope like kind of guy." And yeah, I remember those, and I actually think I prefer the old Undertaker better than that. But you know,
I don't know, Steve. I think maybe he had like a lot of like really good matches in the Attitude Era too with Austin and
yeah,
stuff.
I
And
mean, I'm not
he
saying
was
they're
always like
not
doing like
good. I mean, of course,
dives.
he's the guy who threw Mankind off the top of the gate, or not the gate, the Hell in the Cell. And so, yeah, he's definitely memorable. But I don't know. It's just when he comes out, it's like, up. Well, he's probably going over most of the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So,
But
moving on for a few of the people who.
yeah, why don't we go over this comic
Mhm.
book? We've avoided talking about it long enough.
Right. So the writers here, and man, do I use the term loosely. It's a brother duo by the name of Jim and Dan Monty, and all I could find on them was a Twitter, and it looks like they now run a comic shop. So I couldn't find any other stuff that they worked on. Looks like they were probably hired by Chaos for like a bowl of soup and a sandwich or something. And this was their shot. And, well, I'll just let you be the judge, dear listener, on how you think they did. Then the artist here is Leonardo Jimenez. With a name like that, I mean, you think he's got to be top notch. And, well, he's really only worked for Chaos. He worked on a few other titles, including Cremator and Rack and Pain. So, real kid stuff, family friendly.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, I think his art's pretty decent. The one thing I would say is that I thought was maybe like the worst thing art wise was maybe Undertaker's
yes,
faces.
I
Uh,
agree that it's pretty good other than the faces. The faces aren't all that great. And
yeah,
lastly, we have the inker here, a man by the name of Don Hillsman II, and he's actually had quite a career working for Marvel and DC. He's worked on Gambit and Weapon X, and for DC, he worked on a book that I actually had a copy of called Damage, which no one ever remembers. And as we talked about, this was published by Chaos Comics, which ran from 1993 to 2002. And some of their more well known characters include Lady Death and Evil Ernie. He's like the mascot for, what's that one? Iron Maiden, Evil Ernie.
yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta know Maiden. And that's basically that. So let's jump into the comic book here. Okay. All right, so we open. It's Halloween night, and there's a really spooky looking graveyard with a gate that just has these ridiculous spikes on top, and it's raining. And it says every year, it's weird. The next shot is a shot from inside the Undertaker's hearse, I guess, and he's I don't know, adjusting
right?
the AC, or maybe his CD player, turning off the Taylor Swift, or no,
Yeah,
Limp Bizkit, of course.
yeah, of
Then he
course.
jumps out of the car, puts on his hat, and that was one of the things that he would always, he's always putting on his hat, so they got that right. And then we've got a shot of the Undertaker's face. Who do you think he looks like here?
I don't, not like the
No,
Undertaker.
no. He looks like any dude who was like listening to Creed at the time, like back in the 90s, yeah, or
Yeah,
any new
yeah,
metal
yeah. I can tell
fan,
you,
basically.
like this is definitely somebody who's got a couple of Affliction shirts in
Oh,
their closet, or some kind of off-brand Walmart version with foil all over the shirt.
100%. Oh, you nailed it. And it says, he comes here to pay his respect. He is the Undertaker. And then we flip the page, and out of nowhere, a wizard shows up. And I actually thought this was actually sort of, appropriate for a wrestling comic. We get the classic sort of, well, what do we have here? And this wizard, paint a picture for the listeners of this wizard.
I mean, it's just a guy with like a witch's hat and like a cape and orange
He
eyes.
is no, he is
Uh,
the typical. If you close your eyes and think of a wizard, he looks like Gandalf, like your typical Tolkien-esque wizard. He's got
yeah,
the pointy hat, or the guy from Disney's Sword in the Stone. Uh,
yeah, because he's got the long hair and the long beard. He looks like maybe like ZZ Top's less successful brother got into the occult as a result of not being able to
Hackett in the band.
play hot guitar licks like She's Got Legs.
Right. And he's surrounded by bats. He's coming out of a portal, and he's just like, "Are you having a good time reminiscing, Undertaker? Do you think they're resting in peace, fool?" And then this actually frightens the Undertaker, and he goes, "Ah." Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. It's hilarious. And he says, "Take a closer look." And then inside the portal, we see, who I guess is supposed to be the Undertaker's parents, like, and they're sort of writhing in pain on a flamed, drawn pentagram. And like, all right, help
mhm.
me, help me out here with the Undertaker continuity. At this point, it's been established that the Undertaker's dad is Paul Bearer, right? So
Right.
who are these
And because this is
people?
99, so well, no. Paul Bearer like took him in because Kane's his half brother.
Right. Okay. So wait.
Yeah, and Undertaker killed his own parents, or he thought he killed his own parents,
Okay.
in a fire, but it turned out that it was like Kane that had set
Right. All
it,
right.
if I
It's coming
remember
back to
correctly.
me
Like later on,
now.
find out.
Okay. So Paul Bearer
Yeah.
wasn't his biological dad. All right.
Correct,
So this
correct.
actually this is canon, everyone. This is canon. It's
So he does become sort of his surrogate father.
wow, amazing. All right. So moving on. All right. This doesn't sit well with the Undertaker. He says, "Who are you? What have you done?" And then this wizard introduces himself as Sam Hain, and I know that's not the way it's supposed to be
Yeah, I
pronounced.
don't know how to pronounce it either.
I
Yeah, I
just
was
kept calling
wondering
him
what.
Sami Zayn. Why not? And he just explains to him that he's like a big time wizard. He's the Lord of the Dead, and for the past 20.
What does that even
I
mean?
know, right? I mean, this is all
Like, I mean, Undertaker calls himself the Lord of Darkness, and what does
right,
that mean?
right. I mean, this is all so generic. I mean, he's the generic looking wizard.
Yeah,
And why is Undertaker fighting a wizard? Like, why isn't he fighting one of the other wrestlers or somebody?
it's okay. We're gonna have even more why is
Yo,
questions that are gonna
absolutely. Or at
come.
least, why doesn't he look more badass? At least he just looks like a Disney wizard or something. But anyway, he basically explains that when it's Halloween, that's basically his night, and he's going to do something to the souls of Undertaker's parents unless he gives him the Book of the Dead, which they call the Stygian Book of the Dead. I guess all this stuff is, I don't know, part of Aramaic or occult history or whatever.
Well, like the Stygian is the prison in hell, so he wants to become the ruler of the prison in
Hmm.
hell. But to do that, he needs the Book of the Dead.
Right.
So Stygian's not the book,
Well, let's see. It
apparently.
says Undertaker.
And I know this because at the very end of the book, like after the story has ended, there's a blurb from the publisher that says Stygian is the prison of hell.
But all right, I just want to see if we can glean that from his dialogue here. He says, "All right,
No, we can't.
at
No, we
the
can't.
end, to end their suffering, Undertaker, hand me the ruleship of Stygian dash the Book of the Dead, and this will end." And it doesn't really make any sense. And he says, "You have 12 hours, and I'll be waiting for you at the site of your parents' death, dead man." And so now we turn the page. Oops. And now we are in like a suburban sort of neighborhood, and it's a small town in Texas, home of Oscar and Billy Pringle, and they prepare to go out trick-or-treating. Their parents say, "Hey, you better stay away from the funeral home at the end of the street, because I guess..."
Now, did you catch the little wink wink that they threw in here with this Percy, Texas, and Billy and Oscar Pringle?
I see. I thought that Pringle was the last name of Paul Bearer, but I looked it up and it's not. So who? Because it did ring a bell, but why don't you tell me?
So Percy Pringle, if I remember correctly, is the name that Paul Bearer used before he came to WWE.
That's what it is. Ah, see, I knew something was going on there. Yeah, that's kind of...
It was a nice little nod.
Right, to wrestling fans. And so basically, one of the kids is dressed like a soldier, and the other one's dressed like a boxer. And maybe you could assume that it's Rocky. And they go out, and of course, immediately, the one who's dressed like a soldier, that's Oscar, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the funeral home," and the other one doesn't want to, and he tells them to stop.
Right, and their mom told them not to go there because of what happened last year and that the stories are true. Do we find out what these stories are?
No. Well, I mean, I just assume they're talking about the time, Kane. What did he had sex with like a corpse or something? Didn't that happen in the aggression era?
No. Triple H. Had
it
sex
was
with the corpse of Katie Vick.
Oh, the head of WWE.
But he was dressed as Kane.
Oh, right, man. I don't know how you keep all this stuff straight, but it's a good thing you're here. So anyway, Oscar tells his brother to stop being a pussy. We're going to go there anyway. I don't know why these kids would want to go there because, I mean, there's no candy. No one's daring them to go there. I guess they just want to go there just to see if the stories are true.
I would assume much like us, they want to be known for their scoops as well.
There it is again. So they go to the door and they knock on it, and and basically Paul Bearer answers it, and again we get the, well. Wait, let me see. I used to be able to do a good Paul Bearer, like he's been gone for so long. Well, what do we have here? Come on in, boys. We'll see if Uncle Paul has some treats for you in the kitchen. What do you think about the Paul Bearer here?
I mean, probably should have been a little bit more pale.
True.
To make it a little bit more accurate. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was pretty decent.
It looks like, big time pedo vibes going on here. But pretty accurate. Yeah. Moving on. So now we're back with the Undertaker. He shows up the ruins of the place where his parents died. I guess his former child.
By the way, Steve, why these pumpkins? What are they doing there? Because this isn't a pumpkin patch. Nobody lives here. There's just like 15 random pumpkins on top of this rubble, and these are fresh pumpkins.
It's there to remind us that it's
on?
Halloween, I guess.
And
Undertaker pulls up in his hearse, and he exits on the passenger side for some reason. And I was just like, does he have somebody in there driving for him? And I guess that question is answered on the next page, which we'll get to in a minute. So Undertaker steps out of the passenger side and goes, "Samahane," or whatever his name is, "show your rotten carcass." And then we get an, "over here, dead man." And he goes, "What?" And then we turn the page, and there he is, the wizard again. He's coming out of a portal yet again, and this time he's got this sort of army of weird naked bat creatures, and he says, "Give me the book." And Undertaker says, This shall never be yours. Release their souls before I feed your rotting carcass to the maggots.
Why did he bring the
Yeah,
book?
I love it how he just.
If he doesn't want him to have it, why did he
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
it?
I mean, if anything, Undertaker should have been like, no, go buy your own copy at Barnes and Noble or check out your local library. And so Sammy Hain, he says, have it your way, capture him. Ooh, capture him. I mean, you should have at least ordered like the Bat Creatures to like rip him apart or something. And here's another sort of little hidden gem, if you want to call it that, for wrestling fans. Out comes although they're never really identified as, it's the Brood. It's Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. I guess they're.
They didn't want to pay the royalties.
I guess. And this is weird. They completely kind of gloss over the battle here between the Bat Creatures and the Brood and Undertaker, and all we see is Sammy Hain using his magic to make the. I mean, it really looks like the Necronomicon to me, but.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
He uses his magic to basically steal the book, while one of the Bat Creatures just sort of nibbles on the Undertaker's arm, and the Undertaker just goes, no, and then the wizard goes, yes, and then he tells his minions, pick him up, we can use him, and it's like, use him for what? Like, what do you think they're gonna?
Make him do appearances, sign autographs,
cameos. What's that?
Yeah. Maybe this wizard's got a church that he wants to aside, and Mark can come and talk about his religious views.
There you go. So turning the page, we are now back into the mortuary, and Paul Bearer is trying to get the boys to go back to the kitchen to get some crab cakes, or no, not crab cakes, grab some cakes. Of course, they're like, oh no, we don't want to do that. And they kick him in the shin and run away, classic sort of little boy trope, if you will. And Paul Bearer's like, you'll regret that, you brats. And he pulls a nearby lever, locking them inside. And then... I like the flames coming out of Paul Bearer's eyes here on the next page.
Right. And like I was confused. Are they actually coming out, or is this just for does he have powers,
right, I mean,
or is this just supposed to be like for artistic flair, just to be like, oh yeah,
that's the thing, is they're never really clear on the rules for this world. Prior to this issue, I had no idea that the Undertaker had magical powers. I just thought he was a good dead zombie wrestler, but
yeah, no, he can. Well, we had seen him use lightning in WWE before.
When did that happen?
Dude, there's been a bunch
I mean,
of
I know it
times
has. I was just wondering if you knew exactly, but that's okay.
During the Attitude Era, several times. I just can't recall any.
Right. I mean, and he used to. I remember he would well, of course, he and Kane would come out, put their arms down, and the flames would shoot out of the ring. So there you go.
Well, that's only Kane.
Oh, only King did that?
Only Kane does that. I mean, when he and Undertaker teamed up, they would do it together.
Right.
Basically, Undertaker is just pantomiming where Kane is the one with the actual firepower, Steve. Don't be a fucking moron. Jesus.
Thanks for setting me straight there.
No problem. The Undertaker, the man behind the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, he would like to set lots of people straight.
I bet
through conversion therapy.
I could just see him in the prison. Those old Scared Straight documentaries.
Oh my god.
He'd be good at that, I bet.
See that too. He would be, until you hear his hip implant making creaking sounds as he's walking by trying to intimidate the prisoners. But I don't remember him, however, shooting lightning or any sort of plasma-based energy from his hands in WWE, which is what's happening here.
Right. Well, we'll get to it. So the kids try to leave. Paul Bearer laughs, and I thought this was kind of just a funny, sort of lame, but still so bad it's good kind of line. He just goes, "Got you now, boys. The only place you're going is straight to hell. Just like every year when the Undertaker is away on his hiatus." Like, what? Why did he add that? Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, we know the Undertaker's really on vacation.
Well, the weird thing is like then he says like this is the only chance I get for new
Yeah,
recruits.
they're
However,
really trying to hammer down that Halloween is like the special time, I guess, where the bad guys get a chance to, do stuff that they don't get to normally do, I guess.
but it doesn't make any sense because like he's like, okay, this is the only chance I get to do this because Undertaker is not here.
Right.
However, Undertaker is maybe home 2 days a week at this point because he's traveling constantly with the WWE. So you've got 5 days a week to get new recruits, and then I know I'm getting like a page or two ahead of ourselves, but then he tries to kill these kids anyways. So
Right.
well, he's not really like acquiring new recruits here anyway.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, unless he's trying to take their souls. But anyway, the kids continue to run. They narrowly escape Paul Bearer's grasp, and now we turn the page and we are back in what I guess is the dungeon of one Semi-Hain. And who is the Undertaker shackled next to but one Mankind and Mr. Sacco? So, this is part of the Chaos Comics WWE shared universe. And he's in there talking to Mr. Sacco. Undertaker comes to, and he's like, "Oh, where am I? What are you doing here, fool?" So do you think they knew each other prior to this, or what's going on here?
I'm not even sure that the Undertaker's a wrestler in this world. Like they never mention him wrestling. The WWE's never mentioned.
Right.
So I don't know if this is like separate from the WWE continuity.
So, Mankind says, "Hold on, I have a question for you." And he asks him, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? I mean, which, I don't know, sounds like something that Mick Foley would have asked. And that angers Undertaker. He says, "Release me now." And Mankind says, "All right, but you owe me one." And this next panel, the third panel, I thought Mr. Sacco was chewing through the chain, which would have been hilarious. But no, it's way dumber than that. Mankind just picks up a big bone and smashes Undertaker's shackles. No problem. No problem at all.
By the way, Mankind is shackled too. Why didn't Mankind just use the bone on his own shackles? Like,
Yeah. Tell me about it.
and what are these shackles made out of? Something weaker than bone? Like, I'm very confused.
The Monty brothers don't understand metallurgical properties, I guess.
Yeah, apparently not.
So Mankind says that they're in Semi-Hain's palace, and he's upstairs, and he asks them to team up, but the Undertaker, he's just such a lone wolf. He's like, "Nah, forget it. I have to settle this myself." And then we're back in the mortuary with the kids, and they are now in sort of like the the place where
This is very Jurassic Park, trying to get away from the raptor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're in the laboratory area where Paul Bearer presumably does the embalming on the corpses and stuff that come in. So they hide in a casket, and then Paul Bearer is like, "Oh, you thought it was safe to hide in the casket? It's not. It's a crematorium." And basically he shoves the kids with the casket in it into a furnace with the flames and stuff. And the kids yell, "No, somebody help us." And at this point, I'm sure much like myself, you're thinking to yourself, you're waiting for the Undertaker to take care of whatever's going on in the A plot to show up here in the B plot. But, we'll get back to that in a second. Now we're back in the palace. And I actually think that's a pretty awesomely drawn palace there as Undertaker.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Honestly, this guy is a really good artist. It's just the faces is the one thing that he's maybe not the greatest at, but it's certainly much better than me.
Right.
And
I would.
There's a really cool shot earlier. I meant to point it out when we meet Billy and what's his face from overhead, if we're watching it from the ceiling of the living room.
Oh, there it is.
And
yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, and that looked really cool.
Mm-hmm. So
this guy is definitely not a bad artist.
Right. You could tell, much like a lot of comic companies in the 90s, that Chaos was all about the art and not so much the story.
Yeah. Well, but this guy's good, and one thing I really like about his art too, and you and I, we've talked about this when we've reviewed other comics from the 90s, is, I mean, I think the colors definitely make you think, oh, this is a comic from the
Mhm.
90s, but the art itself, not quite so much. Like, you don't see like a lot of the tropes, like the
Shoulder
pouches and
pads.
chrome,
Right. Well,
crazy amount of lines for like detail,
sure. I think, I mean, according to Wikipedia, Chaos Comics definitely consider themselves very sort of horror inspired, and this definitely feels like sort of like 70s Marvel like horror comic to me, instead of like Rob Liefeld Image like sort of extreme 90s style. Um, But
Yeah.
so yeah, Undertaker, he basically penetrates the fortress, and Mankind comes up. Or actually, you just see Sacco at first, and it says, "Oh, Undertaker," and the next page is actually, I guess, a poster of the Undertaker sitting on the Undertaker throne, looking all scary.
And this poster makes me wish that they would have Midway would have licensed Undertaker from WWE to put him as like in place of Shao Kahn,
Oh
like sitting on the
yeah,
throne in
that
MK2, like.
that would have been fun.
Yeah, because this is actually a pretty cool shot, man. And this is my favorite Undertaker as far as like his character stuff when he was the Ministry of Darkness in the Attitude Era, where it was more like, yeah, he is a guy, but he's a guy that's really into like this dark stuff.
Right.
And yeah, even though like it's not real, like it's real to him, so that like makes him like be more.
Yeah,
violent.
he's a
Like I really like this Undertaker.
Yeah, I agree. He's a chaos magician, basically. Uh, so yeah, so then we see our only wrestling move in the entire comic, and that is Mankind puts the mandible claw on the Undertaker. He shoves Sacco right down his gullet, and then just out of nowhere, a trap door opens from above, and a bunch of snakes fall on to Mankind and the Undertaker. That's just so random. Like, this is just the most random writing. And yeah, they sort of continue to battle, or I think it's just there to act as like a diversion to make Mankind busy, so the Undertaker can once again grab a large bone. Man, they're really into like large bones, and move on. Actually, it's a stick. That's what it is. So he enters like this sort of like temple area of the palace. Samhain is in there with the Book of the Dead, doing like a what do you want to call it? Casting a spell, more or less. And the Undertaker's like, the conjuration of the fire god. He must not complete the ritual. And he goes,
Yeah, and like this fire god thing just like kind of suddenly came out of nowhere.
Sure. I mean, there's like zero story, zero backstory going on here. It's just sort of random stuff happening. And speaking of random, what happens next is completely random and unfulfilling, almost in a Halloween Ends sort of fashion. Undertaker says, "My only chance." He grabs his spiky stick and hurls it at Samhain, and it impales him like right through the chest, basically. So like, I kept waiting. I was like, when is this going to turn into a wrestling match? When are we going to get to see the Undertaker like do a tombstone, like put this wizard through the mat, like put him down for the count? But we never get that. I'm so disappointed. But anyway, I mean, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I was surprised that they had Undertaker just kill this guy, basically like
Right.
that. The fire god thing just kind of comes out of nowhere.
But the thing
whatever.
is that as ridiculous as that is, it's about to get more ridiculous.
Sure
But we
is.
turn the page, and now we're with Kane shows up and saves the kids. And I guess this is at a time when Kane was a face. But that rendering of Kane there looks pretty awesome, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. And this is when Kane was all juiced up to the gills before he became vegetarian. And
Certainly looks like it here. But anyway,
Yeah.
we don't see him like dispatch with Paul Bearer. He just sort of shows up, rips the top of the coffin off, and yells at Oscar and Billy and tells them to leave. And they do. And now we're back with the Undertaker and old Samhain. He's not dead yet. He says, "You should have killed me when I should have killed you when I had the chance." Man, this is just the most basic dialogue you could possibly get.
Yeah, very generic. Yeah.
And now he goes, "Now you die," and he shoots like, I don't know, this green mist. Once again, the great mood as green mist plays into a comic book we're reading. Or it's actually more like power or plasma, whatever you want to call it. He shoots it at the Undertaker. Yeah. Undertaker goes, "Ah!" And old Gandalf here says, "Now we shall end this for good." And then the Undertaker goes, "You're right, wizard." And he points his hand at the wizard here. And for the first time ever, we see that Undertaker has magical powers. Why didn't he just use it at the beginning of the comic, Yahel?
That's exactly what I was about to say, Steve. I guess we would have had a story then.
Yeah, you're right. And that is that
maybe some kind of explanation about how he can only use it at certain times, or maybe it's very taxing. Anything would have been.
Yeah, anything.
Or maybe what's his face had cast a spell where he couldn't. I mean, there's so many other ways, and there's so many panels here without dialogue. Mm-hmm. You could have easily fit it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty poor direction on the Monty brothers' behalf. And I just wonder, I'm like, man, how could the WWE sign off on this? I mean, as I said, there was only one wrestling move in the whole book, and it was done by Mankind, who's not even the title character. It just... but anyway, it's going to get more ridiculous here. So I guess Sam Hain is defeated. And it's weird. You think that all right, so that last panel on the previous page where Undertaker is shooting his plasma blast or whatever you call it at the Wizard, if that's like the death blow, you'd think that the next page would be like a big splash of like him like writhing in pain, like grabbing his heart or something. But no, he's done for. That's it.
He's just gone.
Yeah. And so the Undertaker walks away, and he sees his parents, I guess their soul sort of writhing in the fires of hell, and he's like, "Mother, Father, now you are free." And then out of nowhere, this like massive demon shows up. Or are we to assume...
I guess this is the fire god?
Yeah. Okay, we can assume that it's the fire god. He tells Undertaker that he ruined every... I like this. When he shows up, Undertaker just goes, "Huh?" It's just so stupid.
Oh, yeah, when he punches him home.
Yeah, and then he says he ruined everything. The fire god, I guess, punches Undertaker in the back, which is really sort of weird looking.
Don't set him on fire.
No.
Good,
Yeah, of course. And then Undertaker grabs the demon by the neck, and he goes, "Look into the eyes of the Reaper, and know that I am the Lord of Darkness," and uses his like lightning powers to like sort of suck the life force. I mean, I don't know how a demon has a life force, but sucks the demon's energy out of his body, and he just sort of withers away and dies.
Actually, Steve, now that I'm looking at this, is this the Wizard?
Yeah, I mean,
because he's like wearing a
hat.
Yeah,
it shows up out of nowhere at the end there.
So the Wizard had turned into this fire god.
So which one is his true form? The Wizard or the demon thing here?
So it seems like, okay, I think this is what happened. Undertaker gave him the big blast, thought he like had taken him out, freed his parents, but in the meantime, the Wizard turned into the fire demon god thing, and then this is when Undertaker like finally finishes him. Because we see in the next couple panels like he's turned back into the Wizard.
Right.
You can see he's like lying there where it says Rumble.
I guess the Monty brothers are just too deep for us.
Yeah, I guess
so anyway, Wizard Fire God thing is defeated, and Undertaker and Mankind walk towards the camera as like there's like this huge blast thing going on behind them, and Mankind is going, beefy, ha 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 ha. I guess that's supposed to be an homage to their ravioli commercials that they used to do.
Yep, the beef chef beef ravioli.
And then the Undertaker thinks to himself, one more task is at hand, and it's finished. And I'm thinking, he's going to go, I mean, I don't know how we would know, but I'm still thinking he's going to show up back at the mortuary and maybe, like, knock Paul Bearer around or something like that. Nope. the last panel is a splash page of the Undertaker, now with new clothes on, because in the previous panel, all of his stuff was ripped up from the battle. He's kneeling over his parents' grave, and it says "Rest in peace." And he's using his magical lightning thing, I guess, to set his parents'
Yeah.
soul at ease.
So I guess his parents weren't free earlier when he said you're free now. I guess now they're free. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
weird. And he
yeah.
just like had them in his energy thing. Another thing, it almost feels like a different person drew this last.
Yeah, yeah. It's got like, or
because,
maybe
like,
someone else inked it or something.
I don't know, man. Like the muscles look very. You know what? They look like synthol injections. Have you ever seen somebody that gets like those synthol muscle injections?
I have not. I have not.
Oh my God, look it up. Basically, they look like balls like this. People get like inject synthol into their bodies to make it look like they have muscles, and it always looks like shit.
Wow.
Um.
Well,
Anyway,
are you ready to render your
yeah, this
verdict?
just looks very, very strange. Even the hat looks different than the way it was drawn earlier.
So
So I really wonder if somebody else.
yeah,
drew
it's
this.
really weird and smooth. There's like less detail. It's just like a circle and a what's that? And then another circle. I don't know. It almost looks like it was rendered by a computer.
It's almost like they realized at the last second, oh shit, we're one page short.
Right.
And they got somebody walking by to draw.
Right,
this
right,
page or
right.
something.
Well, wow. Let me see if there's anything else to make fun of after this. I think it's just
There is.
uh,
Did you read the little blurb on the Enter the World of Undertaker?
the most mysterious being ever to leap from the top rope of the World Wrestling Federation has now entered the world of Chaos Comics. And this is talking about the monthly series, because this Halloween special is just a special. It's just a one and done.
Yeah, and boy, is it special.
Yeah, yeah, I'll say. And
Sounds like Undertaker is rolling over there at your place.
oh God, I know.
Like those
I
worse.
never. I hate living in the city. Come on, people, throw money at my PayPal or my comics so I can move out of here. So yeah, it says in this new monthly full-color series, you will learn the secrets of the Undertaker that the WWF couldn't tell you. He's
Not that they. It's not that the WF doesn't want to tell you. They
yeah,
can't.
he wouldn't allow it. He used his like dark.
Something
He used the power of God
is
to
it-
keep them from telling it.
is the Book of the Dead preventing the WWF from telling you all the secrets? Apparently, a Chaos Comics isn't beholden to the power of the Book of the Dead, so they can tell you the truth.
And remember, in hell, you can trust no one. Don't forget about that.
So, and it says he has come to claim his rightful place, he being the Undertaker, pronouns pal, as Vince McMahon would say, as the rightful ruler of Hell's prison, Stygian, a place so bad the devil won't visit. So, a lot to unpack. So, is the Undertaker like braver, tougher than the devil? I mean, like, what's the?
I mean,
I
do you
don't-
think the devil could ride a Harley to the ring? Yeah, hell, I don't think so.
I would assume he can, Steve, being the devil. But I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe that's not his vehicle, his recreational vehicle of choice.
yeah, maybe he's one of those like weird backwards tricycle guys. But yeah, the weird thing here is
yeah.
that is the Undertaker a heel or a face? But I guess since it's the Attitude Era, everyone's a cool heel or whatever. It must be really confusing to write for the Undertaker, at least in the ongoing series.
And dude, this last tagline, it's so awkwardly worded, and I think I know why. So they say, remember, in hell, you can trust no one. And I don't know if you remember, Steve Austin, one of his catchphrases was, don't trust anyone.
Right.
So clearly they were like, I'm sure somebody like, at first they were like, remember, you can't trust anyone, was probably what they had like originally. And somebody at WWE would say, hey man, that's awesome. So you can't change that.
Right. Wow.
And so rather than just take it out, they're like, okay, we'll just reword it very fucking awkwardly.
There's one more page here where you can order directly from Chaos Comics the Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mankind comics. And so, feel free to screen grab that, Yahel, because I know you're going to want to order your own comic.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable sending my credit card number to find those.
All right, you ready to render your verdict on this sucker?
Yes,
All
please.
right.
Let's.
Remember how obliterated that with the question.
All right, Dark Lord Velazquez, do you think that the Undertaker Halloween special should be tossed into the void of obscurity, never to be heard from again, or should it be remembered for all of human history?
I say toss it. It's not very well written, as we've talked about. It's barely written. Nothing makes sense. There's nothing. The art's pretty good, for sure, but there's nothing particularly interesting other than that to me. What say you, Steve?
Oh, I agree 100%. Like, this is why a lot of people used to frown on licensed comics because, I mean, I remember we also did that episode on Alf, and it's just like one of those where people just sort of, the Alf comic book that is, and it's obvious they just sort of strung together a really like loose plot and was like, we don't need to write a good story because everyone already knows the Undertaker and they're just going to throw their money at it because of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So yeah, an insult to licensed comics for sure, and it definitely deserves to be tossed into the void of obscurity, never to be heard from again. So here it comes.
The heathens have spoken. You are obliterated.
I think the Undertaker would have enjoyed that bumper. What do you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Or
actually, no. He's too Christian now. He probably wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, that is our show. That is the Undertaker Halloween special number 1. Check your local quarter bins if you want yourself a copy. I don't know why you would. I don't think I'm ever going to read another WWE comic again, at least not one from Chaos Comics, that's for sure. Anything else to add, Mr. Velazquez, before we sign off for today?
No, I'm pretty good.
Well, as I
would say that was meh. I mean, I didn't like the Alf comic either, but this is probably the worst comic.
Hey, someone showed up. Detroit Retro Gamer. Welcome to the end of the show.
Hey. With the coffin emoji. How apropos.
Yes, well done there.
Yeah, we're just signing off now.
I mean, if there's anything we can riff about, I mean, we already. I guess we should have saved that Halloween review for the end. I know what we can tell them. So next week we're going to be looking at the original "Are You Afraid of the Dark" pilot. So make sure you show up for that. And of course, if you want to support Reptilian Media and especially this show, you could always buy some comics. My comic, Escape to Earth #1. There'll be a link in the description on where you can purchase it. And of course, I'll be running the cinematic trailer for it before we sign off here. Or if comic books aren't your thing, you can always donate on PayPal. Did you want to take the other stuff like you normally do?
Oh, and if you want to keep in touch with what's going on with us or Reptilian Media in general, just look for @Reptilian Media on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Obviously, you're either here on YouTube or Twitch, so you knew how to find us there. Or maybe not. Maybe you're just listening on a podcast.
And that's fine. However way you want to get your obscure fix, we support it.
Yeah. However, whatever gets your
magical plasma blast going, we support it.
There you go. Bringing it back.
Yeah. All right then. Well, have a happy Halloween, even though we'll still have one more episode before Halloween comes, and we'll see you next Sunday as we continue to discuss even more obscure media, only on Obscurity Now. I missed the... There it is. Bye.
I'm having a weird day. The name's Adam. Where I'm from, I'm known as the Zero Thief. Depending on who you ask, some might say I'm the best thief. But believe it or not, even the best screws up every once in a while, and that's what I did, and I had to make a fast getaway. I ended up crash landing on this bizarre planet. Turns out, I didn't get away fast enough. These winged freaks followed me here.
It's just us here, Zero Thief, on this empty backwoods planet. So start talking, either to me or my blade.
Okay, I do have something to tell you. It's about the planet. It's not that empty. Come on, man, I thought you were gonna duck. Cut me loose. Cut me loose. Behind you. Whoa! Thought I was done for. It was gonna be a light snack for a snarling creature, but then she showed up, riding on the back of one of those monsters like it was nothing. And with a wave of her hand, the other razor-toothed beast just stomped away. I'd never seen anyone like her before in my life. I thought I'd say something clever. Thanks, have you seen my ship? She gave me a look that said more than words ever could, because I think she was trying to read my mind or something. And from there, things just got even weirder. Escape to Earth. 36 pages of insane dinosaur action. Issue 1 available now at reptilianmedia.bigcartel.com, featuring a variant cover by Sean Forney. Act now while supplies last. You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.